Ever feel like something's off, but you're not sure how serious it is? Mild or moderate depression can sneak into your life quietly, but it impacts everything. In this video, we break down the real signs, what it actually feels like, what helps, and how to finally start healing. If you've ever questioned your mental health or want to support someone who's struggling, this is for you. Let's talk, learn, and begin the journey forward together. Stick around, what you hear today could be the first step to feeling better. Why talk about depression? Why now? Why this video? Because depression is not just sadness. It's not just a bad day. It's a global reality, affecting over 264 million people around the world. That's not just a statistic. That's people. People like your friend, your co-worker, your partner. Maybe it's you. And here's something most don't realize. Most depression doesn't start as severe. It begins quietly, with subtle shifts, less energy, trouble sleeping, a growing sense of emptiness. These are the early signs, and they often fall under what professionals call mild or moderate depression. But here's the empowering truth. When we act early, when we understand these signs, we can stop the spiral. We can heal before it gets worse, before it becomes overwhelming. And if you're watching this thinking, I feel this, but I'm scared, I feel alone, let me tell you right now. This issue isn't unique to you. Millions have been where you are, and millions have found their way back. Recovery is possible, not overnight, not without effort, but with the right tools, the right help, and the right support, you can feel better. This video exists because you matter, because your mental health matters, and because every single journey toward healing starts with one powerful step. Understanding. So let's take that step, together. When we hear the word depression, many people picture one thing: someone crying in bed, unable to move, drowning in sadness. But here's the truth: not all depression looks the same. Depression is not a one-size-fits-all condition. It's not always tears and darkness. Sometimes, it looks like exhaustion, even after 10 hours of sleep. Or irritation, snapping at the people you love, for no clear reason. Sometimes it feels like fog, like you're moving through life on autopilot. Because depression isn't just emotional. It's physical, it's mental, it's chemical. It can touch your body, your energy, your thoughts, and your motivation, all at once. Think of it like a dimmer switch, not a light switch. It's not depressed or not. It's not on or off. It's a spectrum, and your experience might be brighter some days, and dimmer on others. That doesn't make it any less real. That doesn't mean you don't need support. And this matters, because when we understand where we are on that spectrum, we're better equipped to get the right help. Mild depression might call for lifestyle changes, connection, or therapy. Moderate depression might need deeper support, like medication or structured treatment. The key is, awareness is power. Knowing where you stand is the first step toward healing. Depression doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it whispers. And when we start listening to those whispers, that's when we begin to heal. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. Something quiet, subtle, mild depression. It doesn't always make headlines. It's not always obvious to others, and sometimes, not even to ourselves. But it's real, and it's important. So what does mild depression feel like? You might still be functioning. You're getting up, going to work, answering messages. From the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, every task feels heavier. Like walking through water. Simple things, like getting dressed, replying to a text, or cooking dinner, start to feel like chores that drain you more than they should. There's less joy in the things you used to love. You're not necessarily crying, but you're not smiling much either. Instead of feeling, you just go numb. Or maybe you snap more easily. Little things irritate you. You feel on edge, even though you don't know why. And then there are the subtle signs. Your sleep shifts. You're either sleeping too much or struggling to fall asleep. Your appetite changes, eating too little, or way more than usual. Nothing drastic, but enough to feel that something's off. This is mild depression. And here's the important part. Just because you can still function, doesn't mean you should ignore how you feel. Mild depression can be the first warning light. It's the body's quiet way of saying, hey, something's not right. Pay attention. And that's a good thing. Because when you catch it early, when you name it, you can treat it. With self-care, with connection, with therapy, with tools that work, mild depression is treatable, reversible, manageable, and noticing it is the very first step toward healing. So now that we've explored mild depression, let's talk about what happens when those symptoms deepen, when they show up more often, and start to affect your daily life in a more disruptive way. This is what we call moderate depression. Moderate depression doesn't just drain your energy. It starts to shape your world. Symptoms become more frequent, and more difficult to ignore. You might find yourself canceling plans, not because you don't care, but because even the idea of showing up feels overwhelming. You're not just tired, you're mentally foggy, distracted, and struggling to focus. Tasks that once felt routine now feel like climbing a mountain. One of the key differences here: moderate depression starts to interfere with how you live, work, connect, and function. You might notice yourself pulling away from people. Conversations feel exhausting. You don't return calls, or you ghost group chats, not out of rudeness, but because your emotional bandwidth is maxed out. Sleep becomes even more disrupted. You may lie awake with racing thoughts, or sleep excessively to escape them. Motivation drops. The things you used to care about might not even feel worth doing anymore. And then, for many, a darker voice enters the picture. A quiet, painful whisper that says, "What's the point? I'll never get better. I'm stuck." This is hopelessness. This is helpless thinking, and it's a critical sign that you're not just feeling down. You're experiencing moderate depression. But here's the part that matters most. You are not broken. This is not your fault. And most importantly, this issue is not unique to you. Moderate depression is serious, but it's also treatable. With professional support, the right treatment plan, and small, consistent steps forward, healing is possible. The pain you're feeling is real, but it doesn't have to be permanent. Recognizing the signs is the first step toward change. Let's take a moment to compare mild versus moderate depression side by side. Understanding the differences doesn't just help with diagnosis, it helps with getting the right kind of support, at the right time. Mild depression is often a quiet struggle. You might look fine on the outside, still showing up to work, answering messages, smiling in photos. But inside, everything feels heavier. The symptoms are subtle, easy to miss, and often dismissed by others, or even by yourself. That's what makes mild depression so tricky. It hides in plain sight. Moderate depression, on the other hand, is usually harder to mask. The symptoms are more intense, and more frequent. It might affect your ability to focus, get out of bed, or show up socially. It starts interfering with your daily functioning in ways that become noticeable, not just to you, but often to the people around you. It's like the volume has been turned up, and suddenly, you can't ignore it anymore. But here's the most important part. Whether it's mild or moderate, both deserve attention. Both require compassion, validation, and real support. There's no shame in what you're feeling, only a very human experience that many silently share. So if this sounds familiar, if it feels like something you're living through, you're not weak, you're not broken, you're just a person carrying more than most people can see, and it's okay to ask for help. Before you can name what you're going through, you have to recognize it. So let's talk about the common symptoms of depression, not just the textbook definitions, but the things people actually feel in real life. Let's begin with fatigue, even after rest. Not just tired from a long day. We're talking about that deep, dragging exhaustion that makes even simple tasks feel like uphill battles. You can sleep 8, 10, even 12 hours, and still wake up feeling like your battery's only at 5%. Next we will consider loss of interest in things you used to enjoy. Maybe you used to love music, or working out, or spending time with friends. But now, it just feels meh. Like the spark is gone. Nothing feels fun. Nothing feels worth the effort. It's like watching your life through a glass window, detached. And now we will talk about low self-worth, or self-critical thoughts. That inner voice, the one that tells you you're not good enough, or that you're failing. It gets louder. You might start to believe you're a burden, or that you're falling behind. You question your value, even if, on paper, your life looks fine. We will now switch gears to irritability, emotional flatness, or brain fog. It's not always crying and sadness. Sometimes it's snappiness, overreacting to small things, or not reacting at all. Just numb. Or maybe your mind feels foggy, like trying to think through mud. Focus disappears. Words don't come as easily. You forget what you were doing mid-sentence. If any of these feel familiar, please hear this. They are not unique to you. And no, you're not imagining it. These are real symptoms, and they are worth taking seriously. In the next section, we'll talk about what actually helps, and how to begin healing, gently and realistically. So don't go anywhere. You deserve to feel better. Let's keep going. When it comes to depression, timing really matters. Too often, we wait. We hope it'll go away on its own. We minimize our pain. We tell ourselves it's not bad enough. But here's the truth. Depression responds best when caught early. Think of it like any illness. The earlier you treat it, the faster and easier it is to manage. The same goes for mental health. Catching symptoms while they're still mild means you have more options, faster recovery, and less long-term damage. You don't have to wait until you're falling apart to get support. Ignoring symptoms can lead to major depressive disorder. Remember, depression doesn't always stay mild. Left untreated, it often deepens. What starts as low energy and emotional numbness can evolve into full-blown clinical depression, with severe symptoms like complete social withdrawal, suicidal thoughts, or total shutdown. You don't snap out of something that's grown this deep. But you can stop it from getting there. Taking small steps early can prevent a breakdown. That's the game changer. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Tiny, manageable actions, like talking to someone, getting a check-in with a therapist, journaling, or improving sleep, can slow or stop the spiral altogether. Early help isn't weakness. It's smart prevention. It's protecting your future self. If you've been waiting for a sign to take your mental health seriously, this is it. Because healing doesn't begin when you hit rock bottom. It begins the moment you decide, I don't want to keep feeling this way. Let's take that step together. If you've ever felt stuck in depression, mild or moderate, the big question becomes, okay, but what actually helps? The good news is, you have options. And no one path works for everyone, so it's about finding what fits you. Let's walk through 4 proven paths that many people use to start healing. Number 1. Talk therapy, especially CBT. Talk therapy, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is one of the most effective tools we have. It helps you identify the negative thought patterns, like, I'm not good enough, or, nothing will ever change, and challenge them. With time, cognitive behavioral therapy rewires how you see yourself, your future, and your world. It doesn't just help you feel better, it helps you think better. Number 2. Medication. For many people, depression isn't just emotional, it's also chemical. Certain antidepressants can help rebalance brain chemicals like serotonin and dopamine. They don't erase your problems, but they can make it easier to face them. If your depression feels heavy, relentless, or physical, medication might be the support you need to lift that weight just enough to begin healing. Number 3. Lifestyle habits. Never underestimate the power of routine. Your body and mind are deeply connected, so sleep, movement, and nutrition matter more than we think. Prioritizing sleep, exercising even gently, eating balanced meals, and creating a steady routine can have a real impact. It's not about perfection, it's about small habits that signal to your brain, I'm choosing life again. And lastly, number 4, self-help tools. There are tools you can use on your own, no cost, no pressure. Simple practices like journaling, mindfulness, breathing techniques, or even gratitude lists can help create clarity and calm. These aren't quick fixes, they're anchors. Ways to reconnect with your inner self, day by day, breath by breath. Whether you try therapy, medication, habits, or self-guided healing, remember this: progress is personal. It doesn't have to be fast. It just has to begin. You don't need to do all 4 paths at once. Start with one. Let it open the door. Because depression doesn't define your story, healing does. If you've ever found yourself trapped in thoughts like, I'm not good enough, nothing will ever change, or, I always mess things up, you're not alone. These patterns are common in both mild and moderate depression, and they feel so real. But here's the truth: just because you think it, doesn't mean it's true. That's where CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, comes in. It's one of the most researched, most effective therapies for depression, and it's based on a simple but powerful idea. Remember, the way you think affects the way you feel, and the way you live. CBT helps you identify unhelpful thoughts. The ones that play on loop in your mind. The ones that tear you down, distort reality, and keep you stuck. With cognitive behavioral therapy, you learn to spot those thoughts, interrupt the pattern, and challenge the lies. You begin to say things like, wait, is that actually true? Is there another way to see this? What would I say to a friend in this situation? Then you build healthier coping strategies. Not toxic positivity, not pretending everything's fine, but practical, grounded tools, like 1. Reframing your self-talk. 2. Problem-solving steps. 3. Setting small, doable goals. And 4. And learning how to respond instead of react. And the best part, cognitive behavioral therapy has been shown to be highly effective for both mild and moderate depression. Whether you're feeling a quiet numbness or a louder storm of sadness and fatigue, cognitive behavioral therapy gives you a map back to yourself. You don't have to be perfect at it. You just have to begin. And with time, your brain actually starts to rewire itself, creating new mental pathways and more resilient thoughts. So if you've ever wished you could escape your thoughts, don't silence them. Understand them, challenge them, and reshape them. That's what cognitive behavioral therapy helps you do, one thought at a time. Let's talk honestly about medication. Because when you're living with depression, especially moderate depression, the weight can feel unbearable. Maybe you've tried everything you know: sleep, journaling, therapy, positive thinking, and yet, the fog, the heaviness, the lack of motivation still lingers. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You may be dealing with a chemical imbalance in your brain. That's where antidepressants, like SSRIs, can come in. SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, are a class of medications that help regulate the flow of serotonin, a brain chemical that impacts your mood, energy, sleep, and emotions. When serotonin is out of balance, so is everything else. Medication helps restore that balance, making it easier to think clearly, get out of bed, feel hope again, and engage in your life in a way that once felt impossible. But let's be real, medication isn't a magic fix. It doesn't erase all your problems overnight. And it's not meant to replace the inner healing work you're doing. What it can do is lift the fog just enough for you to begin making progress. It gives you traction, so your coping tools, your therapy sessions, your support system can actually start working. That's why medication often works best when combined with therapy. Imagine it like this: if depression is a locked door, therapy gives you the tools to understand the lock, but sometimes, medication gives you the key. Together, they help you move forward faster, safer, and with more stability. If you've been hesitant about trying medication, you're not alone. There's still stigma, fear, and myths around it. But for millions, it's been a life-changing part of recovery. And you deserve to explore every option that might help you feel better. So talk to your doctor. Ask questions. Start small. Stay curious, and be gentle with yourself through the process. Medication isn't weakness. It's one more form of strength. You don't have to completely change your life overnight to start feeling better. In fact, when it comes to depression, especially in the mild to moderate range, it's often the smallest changes that create the biggest shifts over time. Let's start with this simple truth. What you do daily shapes your mood, your routines, your environment. The tiny decisions that seem insignificant, they add up. And they matter more than you think. We will begin with walks. Movement, sunlight. These aren't just wellness cliches. They're biology. Every step you take on a walk, every stretch, every second in sunlight, stimulates your endorphins, your body's natural feel-good chemicals. They help fight the emotional numbness, fatigue, and low motivation that depression brings. Even 10 minutes outside can begin to shift your internal state. You don't have to run marathons. Just move your body. Let light hit your face. Breathe a little deeper. Next, your sleep schedule is your brain's reset button. When you go to bed and wake up at the same time each day, you're not just being disciplined. You're training your brain to regulate emotions more efficiently. Depression thrives in irregular sleep patterns. But when your sleep improves, so does focus, energy, memory, and mood. One of the fastest ways to support your mental health is protecting your sleep like it's sacred. And here's a big one. What you eat and drink directly affects your brain chemistry. Alcohol might feel like a quick escape, but it's a depressant, and often makes symptoms worse the next day. Choose real, whole foods when you can. Hydrate. Seriously, a dehydrated brain is a tired, foggy, anxious brain. You don't have to become a health nut. Just start noticing how what you consume makes you feel. These aren't big transformations. They're tiny acts of self-respect, repeated daily. And over time, they create real change. So if depression is weighing you down, and you're wondering where to begin, start small. Start where you are. Start with what you do each day. Because healing doesn't always begin in a therapist's office. Sometimes it starts with lacing up your shoes, stepping outside, and taking that first breath of fresh air. Let's talk about something small, but powerful, the kind of support that doesn't cost much, but could change everything. Let's talk about simple habits that help you breathe again. Because whether you're facing mild depression or sliding into something more moderate, your nervous system is often on edge, and your mind feels like it's stuck on repeat. But here's what they don't always tell you. Sometimes, healing starts with the simplest steps. Journaling, not to be poetic, not to impress anyone, just to release what's bottled up. To give your emotions a place to go when words feel too heavy. Even one sentence a day, "Today was hard, but I'm still here," can begin to make space for healing. Next up, breathing. Yes, it sounds basic. But when your thoughts are racing, when sadness tightens your chest, intentional breathing is how you tell your body, "I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm in control again." Try this. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. Repeat. It's like a reset button for your entire nervous system. And if you need help staying consistent, apps can be your quiet, supportive coach. Try Calm for guided meditations. Use Headspace to build mindfulness into your routine. Or track your mood and habits with MoodFit, and actually see your progress over time. These tools don't replace therapy or deeper healing, but they do support you on the days when motivation is low and clarity is hard to find. And remember, you don't have to do it all. Start with one small habit, one breath, one honest sentence in a journal. That's how healing begins, not with a giant leap, but with a quiet, powerful return to yourself. Let's say this up front. When you're in depression, especially moderate depression, it often tells you one very dangerous lie: no one cares. No one understands. You're better off isolating. But that voice, that's not truth. That's depression talking. And the antidote is connection. Start small. Talk to someone you trust. Not someone who has to fix it. Just someone who will listen. Someone safe. It could be a close friend, a sibling, a parent, a mentor. Let them know you're struggling. You don't need perfect words. You just need to say something real like, "I'm not okay." I don't need advice. I just need someone to hear me. That moment of honesty can break the weight of silence. And you're not limited to your inner circle. Support groups, both in person and online, are powerful spaces to connect with others who actually get it. Because they've lived it, they're walking it too. Whether it's a local depression group, a Reddit thread, a Zoom community, or even a group chat, knowing you're not the only one feeling this way changes everything. Depression thrives in isolation, but connection, even messy, imperfect connection, is a kind of medicine. And please hear this clearly. If it feels too overwhelming to talk to a friend, that's okay. You can reach out to a therapist or call a hotline. There are trained professionals whose job is literally to listen, support, and guide. No judgment, no pressure, just support. Crisis text line, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, local counselors, these are lifelines. Use them. That is strength, not weakness. Because here's the truth. You can journal, take medication, eat healthy, meditate. But if you're carrying all of this alone, you're missing one of the most powerful healing forces we have: connection. Let yourself be seen. Let someone sit beside your pain. Let the silence be broken by empathy. Connection isn't a luxury, it's a form of healing. It can shift your mindset. It can lift just enough weight to help you try again tomorrow. You don't have to be strong alone. You just have to be real with someone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, not for the numbers, but because someone else scrolling might need to see this. And your share might be the moment they finally ask for help. Let's be honest. When people talk about healing from depression, it can sound like some clean, upward staircase, like once you start feeling better, it's all up from there. But here's the truth: healing isn't linear. And that's not just okay, it's normal. You'll have ups and downs, and that doesn't mean you're failing. One day, you might wake up and feel hopeful. The next day, it might hit you like a wave again. That doesn't erase your progress. It means your brain is still healing. And just like any recovery, physical or emotional, it takes time, care, and patience. Some days will feel heavier, others, lighter. There may be mornings where even brushing your teeth feels impossible. And other days, you'll go for a walk, send that email, or even laugh at something small. Those lighter days, they'll come more often. And the heavier ones, they won't hit quite as hard or last quite as long. But over time, it gets easier. Not in a magical, movie montage kind of way, but slowly. Steadily, subtly, you'll start noticing things. That you bounced back quicker after a bad day. That you were able to challenge a negative thought. That you made it through the week, even with the struggle. Those things. That's healing in action. Progress is measured in small wins. Not in big, dramatic moments. But in tiny, quiet victories. Getting out of bed even when you didn't want to. Answering that text. Drinking a glass of water. Going to your therapy session, even when you dreaded it. That's not just surviving. That's healing. And if no one's told you this lately, you're doing better than you think. Because if you're still here, still listening, still trying, that's resilience. Don't forget, healing doesn't follow a straight line. But it always moves forward, especially when you give yourself grace. Be proud of your small wins. Celebrate every step. Because you are healing, even on the days it doesn't feel like it. If this spoke to you, please consider giving this video a like. Drop a comment with your own small win, because someone else might need that little light. And hit subscribe if you want more videos that meet you where you are, especially on the hard days. Sometimes depression whispers the cruelest things. That you're weak, that you're broken, that you're the only one who feels this way. But right here, right now, I want to offer you a different voice. One that reminds you of the truth. You are not weak. Struggling with depression doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. It takes incredible strength to live in pain and still choose to wake up every day. That's not weakness. That's resilience. You are not broken. You are not a project that needs fixing. You are not a burden. You're a person carrying weight that was never meant to be carried alone. Depression can cloud your view, but underneath it, your worth has never changed. You are not alone, even if it feels like nobody sees you, even if you haven't told anyone how heavy it's gotten. There are millions of others who've been where you are right now. And many of them have made it through. That means you can, too. You may not have found your support system yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't out there. You are worthy of healing. No matter your past, no matter how long you've been struggling, no matter what your inner critic says. You deserve peace. You deserve softness. You deserve to feel joy again, not someday. Not if you earn it. but because you are here, and you are human. This is your reminder. You're not alone in this. You matter more than you know. And even on the days it feels impossible, there is still hope. There is always hope. If this message meant something to you, save this video. Come back to it when you need a reminder. And please, share it with someone who might need it too. Together, we break the silence. Together, we heal. Let's be honest. When you're dealing with depression, even thinking about what to do can feel exhausting. So here's your gentle reminder. You don't have to fix everything at once. You just have to take one small step. And you can start today. Schedule a therapy consult, even if it's just sending one email or looking up a phone number. You don't have to commit to months of therapy right now. Just take the first tiny action. Sometimes the hardest part is reaching out. But it could be the doorway to the support you've needed. Go for a short walk outside. Not to clear your head. Not to fix your mood. But just to feel the air on your skin. To remind your nervous system that the world is bigger than your bedroom. Nature has a quiet way of holding us when we forget how to hold ourselves. Talk to someone you trust. Text a friend. Call a sibling. Say, "Hey, I'm having a hard time. Can we talk?" You don't need a script. You don't need a solution. You just need a moment of real connection. Because that alone can shift the weight. Write down 3 things you're feeling, without judgment. Not to make sense of it. Not to make it pretty. Just write what's real. Maybe it's numb, tired, overwhelmed. That's okay. Naming what's there is powerful. It's like turning the light on in a dark room. The monsters get smaller when we stop hiding them. Remember this. Small steps count. Small steps heal. Recovery doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for presence. You're already doing something brave by being here, watching this video. That means your healing has already started. Now, take one tiny action today. You don't have to get it all right. You just have to begin. If this helped, pause here and choose one step. Then comment, "I started," below so we can cheer you on. Let's heal together. Before you click away, let's take one more moment together. Because here's the truth. What you share in the comments might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Your story could help someone else. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to write a long post. Just tell us, what's one thing you're doing for your mental health this week? Maybe it's texting a friend. Maybe it's journaling, or going for a walk. Maybe it's just letting yourself rest without guilt. Whatever it is, it counts. Share your tip, goal, or thought. Even if it feels small. Even if you're still struggling. Because healing isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself, one moment at a time. And when we share that process, we remind each other, we're not alone in this. Let's support each other in the comments. If you see someone else share something brave, drop a heart. Leave a kind word. Let them know they've been heard. This space isn't just a video. It's a moment of connection between real people who are healing together. So here's your question. What's one thing you're doing for your mental health this week? Type it below. Let's talk. Because you matter. And your voice matters, more than you know. Before we go, I want to say one last thing. You do not have to do this alone. If anything in this video resonated with you, or if you're feeling overwhelmed, there is help, and there is hope. If you are in the US, you can text HOME to 741741 to connect with a trained crisis counselor, anytime, 24/7. It's free, it's confidential, and it could be the bridge between surviving and starting to heal. If you are in the UK, you can call the Samaritans at 116123. Day or night, someone will answer, and they'll stay on the line with you, no matter what. Prefer online therapy? You might try BetterHelp or Talkspace, platforms that match you with a licensed therapist right from your phone. Because therapy shouldn't feel out of reach. Looking for daily tools. Mental health apps like Calm, Headspace, MoodFit, or Dailyo can help you manage anxiety, track your mood, and create tiny moments of peace, even on your hardest days. You deserve support. You deserve relief. You deserve healing. And there are real tools to help you get there, starting today. If this video helped you even a little, share it with someone else who needs it. You never know who might be silently struggling. If this video helped you even a little, if it made you feel seen, understood, or even just a bit less alone, then here's what you can do to keep this message going. Give this video a thumbs up. Not just because of the algorithm, but because someone else might find it because of you. Hit that subscribe button. We're building a space where mental health is talked about openly, honestly, and without shame. And this is just the beginning. And finally, share this with someone who might be struggling. A friend, a sibling, a coworker. You never know what someone's carrying silently. Sometimes one small video can open the door to healing. Your engagement doesn't just help the channel. It could genuinely help someone's life. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking care of your mind. And remember, healing starts small, and it starts now. Thank you for viewing. We'll see you in the next one.